Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the .NET MAUI community stand-up. How's it going, Gerald and Beth?
Great. Excited for the weekend.
Amazing. Exactly.
Long
The
weekend.
weekend.
Yeah.
I'm going away for the summer. After this, I'm off for 3 weeks. Goodbye. That's how we do it in Europe.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're excited for a 3-day. Gerald's like,
Bye-bye.
hold my beer. I'm
Yep.
going for 3 weeks.
Yep. That's how we do it.
Gosh. Is it
I'm sorry.
truly a European thing to go for 3 weeks in like multiple weeks though? Like,
I don't know. I mean, you don't really do that, right? I guess you, at least at Microsoft, people do it usually kind of like with Thanksgiving and then through December, right? Like that's kind of like whenever you take.
yeah, like around the Christmas time, the late December, because there's so
Right.
much code freeze and nobody's really around. So it's
Yeah.
like, why?
No, at least in the Netherlands, it's very typical to just have like 2-3 weeks, whenever how many days you have and what time you want to spend on it, and then some time of that you actually go away again if you're lucky enough. Like we were going away to Gran Canaria for a couple of weeks, and then we spent some time at home, which is probably going to be like chores around the house, check my emails so that it's not hundreds.
It's not vacation. When I go on vacation, I go completely off the grid.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I do like taking longer vacations in the summer because I don't like the winter cold. So when I have to take some.
Hence California. Yeah, so you usually disappear in August for like all of August.
I'm not going to be all of August this year, but it's going to be a few weeks in the mountains and that kind of thing, adventure.
I definitely like taking off more than 1 week because I feel like it takes me a week to like forget things, you know, and to not be thinking about work all the time. And so like week 2 is the real relaxation.
Yep.
Same.
I had an old boss that told me that you have to take at least 2 weeks off. The first week you're trying to relax. The second week you actually are. So.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But in the chat, Germany 2 weeks off. Germany 2 weeks off. There's one German that is envious of the Netherlands because we apparently have more. So by law, I think we have to get like 20 days off, and each job working full time. And then typically you get 25. And if it's like really, if you're in government, it's usually like 40 or something. It's crazy. I'm not even lying. It's totally crazy.
Yeah, here's a different kind of vacation. It's the vacation nobody wants.
Yep.
We are not impacted by, I guess there's some news right now. That's not us. All right. So what else is happening in the chat here?
Well, I got something else that's happening.
We got somebody from the southern tip of Africa, South Africa.
Hey.
And interestingly, just as we've got another one.
Hello, fellow tip from the Southern African tip place, wherever that may be. I'm not sure what the name of the country is.
Matthew, I always feel self-conscious and sometimes bad, usually not bad, just, like maybe nobody cares. But being very Northern Hemisphere centric, like it's summer, but is it summer?
It's icy cold winter, and right now it's absolutely awful. My body is aching. So
I know I feel like in the winter.
You're not old enough for your body to be aching, Matthew. All right. How about some introductions? Because I don't know that everybody knows exactly who we are and what we do. So I'll start.
Everyone knows you.
Yeah, everybody knows you, Gerald.
David Ortinau, product manager for .NET MAUI. And then we'll stay at the top of the screen because I think we're on the top. Yeah, YouTube says we're on the top. Gerald?
Oh, there we go. I'm Gerald. I work at Microsoft. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted. On the .NET MAUI SDK team, remotely from the Netherlands, as you might have guessed by now. And besides that, you might know me from some YouTube videos, maybe some conferences around the world, because I love coming out there, talking to you in the community, and doing all that. So, Beth.
Hey, I'm Beth Massi. I've been around .NET for many, many years. I've been at Microsoft for a very long time in different roles, but I am a product manager on the .NET MAUI team. I'm kind of the silent partner of Dave. He's like way more in the community than I kind of am these days, but I still around, and I have like I guess the flip side of the coin for Maui. I'm more on the Blazor hybrid PM. So yeah, and Matt that way.
No, I'm Matt. I work with Gerald, David, and Beth on the MAUI team at Microsoft. So that's why I'm here. Yeah, I do pretty much anything that happens in MAUI. I try and do everything that I can. Do a bit of Android, a bit of iOS, a bit of Windows, a bit of Mac. And then I like to sneak off to use a bit of Skier Sharp when nobody's looking. And recently, I've been doing a whole bunch of AI, trying to get AI to do my work for me so that I don't have to work. Not sure that's good or bad, but it's definitely been, fun.
My wife was just telling me this morning that she had watched or listened to a podcast or read an article, I don't remember, but about an MIT study that was recently done, and they like watched people's brain waves while they used AI to do document writing, something like this, and basically what the study ends up saying is that we're losing muscle, we're losing our ability to cognitively process things because we offload it to AI, and then we just never really engage as deeply as we would have had we been writing it, top to bottom ourselves. And I'm like, that kind of resonates in that, if you're using Copilot or any other AI to do your coding for you, and you just like check out and you don't engage with it, you're going to end up with some nasty stuff, right? Like, it's not going to be great. So we still need to get in there and understand what it's trying to do and guide it and keep it on the rails. And that's what I see Matthew and the others doing, and the team with MAUI. Is like, if you go look at our repo right now, Copilot is like the #1 committer, or at least in terms of generating commits. I don't know that we're merging all that many. I think right now our merge rate on Copilot is around less than 20% of
what we will do for a couple of, because we have like I don't know if it's like, I'm a little bit spoiled. Like, I don't know what if the tooling is out there for everyone or not, or free or not, because, we get everything. But the coding agent, I think, is the correct term. Like, you assign Copilot to a GitHub issue and it will just start doing it, which doesn't mean that we merge it all, right? But it will be very helpful in like, oh yeah, that's like, this is actually useful. And sometimes it will be like, this is completely crazy, and we close it. But sometimes actually something actually useful will come out, or at least in terms of like, hey, this is a way to solve this that I didn't really think about, right? Like, it will give you a kind of like path to think about as well. But it's been super helpful. It's been increasingly helpful. Like, in the beginning, I was definitely skeptical. Maybe my prompt engineering skills weren't as good back then. But that's definitely a skill that you need to develop for a little bit. But I think the models and agents and whatever has become much better too. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's I found myself just this morning, or maybe it was last night. It all blurs. Basically, how you kind of want to reply to some people with like, let me chat GPT that for you, or let me Copilot that for you. Well, now I'm doing that to Claude, and I'm like, let me chat GPT that for you, because you are so wrong right now, and like, I need to put you back on the rails. Matt, you're gonna.
I find like just being able to like build more real world applications faster is just really empowering for me personally. Like, I like building an end to end like app would have taken me months before I had, and I use them more iteratively. I don't like just send it off to go do stuff. I like, hey, like let's talk about an architectural pattern. What's best practice here, and back and forth. I actually tend to use chat more than agent mode. I don't like it. I actually want to see the code and copy and paste it and learn as I go. But the confidence level of it sometimes is, come on, bud. Really?
I actually tweeted that out the other day. Like, in agent mode, I will now go a lot of times like, don't change anything yet, but look into this thing for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And you kind of have to do that.
Too, actually,
Yeah, you have to do that with the agent mode, because that's where you get the tools. and like
Yep.
the MCP tools and everything. Whereas, yeah, I have been going back to the ask mode so that I make sure it doesn't go changing code on me. But yeah, maybe I should do what you just said, Gerald, and give it the instruction to hold its horses.
Yeah.
So that it can still use, like I just installed Context 7 so that it can look up documentation that's AI, super powered. And I've got the Learn, Microsoft Learn MCP now integrated, so that I can get houred in addition to what Context 7 provides. So
that's actually why I need to write docs.
You know what? Yeah.
What I need it to do. Yeah. We need to write more docs.
And we need to generate good, more, better API docs, which I think Gerald's like the master of that. He owns all of that stuff.
And with the MS Learn, I asked it a question a couple of days ago to do something, and it was just getting it all wrong. It was like compiled bindings, and we had one of the projects we have, a test project, has like 100,000 compiled bindings warnings because we wrote that in the 60s. Then we added compiled bindings, and then now the page is warning, and then Gerald did the thing, and it did it all wrong, I think. And then I said, okay, fine. Let me give you the MS Learn MCP, and I said, hey, check these docs, and they got it right the first time, just because it had access to the docs. So, it goes there, it reads the docs, and it's like, oh, this is what I need to do. This is how I understand it, and it was able to do that weird where you have the data type as part of inside. Like it was referencing a binding to the text box text, and it needs to have the data type to be the text box, not the and it was doing all weird stuff, and it was like experimenting, and I like just read the docs, and they're like, oh, that's how it's so,
RTFM, buddy.
Exactly. I mean, that's we're right back there. We're right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we actually have some community news, and then we're going to get into a bunch of demos. I say a bunch of demos. I don't know actually what Gerald's going to do, if it's just GIFs but you shared that you updated a project this morning with some cool things. And so I'm not putting you on the spot or anything, but if Xaml rhymes with anything that you want to show.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, I might. Okay. I need to
show us YAML.
Not YAML. Not YAML.
Forget XAML. We're doing
Good grief.
YAML.
Oh man. Don't get me started. All right. Sharing my screen, putting it on the screen. Everybody can see this. So I shared this in the chat. I guess I'll quickly share it again. Boop, boop, boop. So this is the URL list. We're not going to go through absolutely everything on the list because I gathered a lot of stuff. There has been a lot happening over the past month or so. Doop. And let's talk about some of the cool highlights here. So first and foremost, where is it? There it is. First and foremost, it's July, folks. And I see that Matt Goldman is in the chat. So Matt has taken the reins for the past several years on the MAUI UI July effort. And this is basically a month full of UI blogging and videos and goodness. And not only did he take the reins on it, he has kicked it off in superb fashion with three of his own holy Batman posts digging into drawing APIs. And so definitely recommend checking these out. I will say that I have, since we were already talking about AI and you can't get away from it, that Copilot and Claude and really all of them do a fantastic job with drawing code. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, at least the C# variety. I've used it in my build demo. I used it in my some of my personal apps, and it's generated everything from audio waveform drawing to gradient text drawing. So super impressive. But yeah, this is a great series of blog posts to kick it off, and we've got a whole month of this to look forward to. If anybody wants to post something tomorrow, looks like, well, tomorrow is open. I say tomorrow. Matt, is it tomorrow yet where you are? He's in Australia, so I don't know. What's the date time? Gerald, you left and came back? You rage quit on us? What's the deal, man? So lots of great stuff to look forward to. I will be doing a blog on the 30th. And, you know, interestingly, I don't see a Gerald on the list. I don't see a Matt. I don't see a Beth on the list.
I just told you I'm off for 3 weeks. Can't do it.
Shame.
Yeah, and UI is not really my forte, so
I see a Nick Kowalski on there.
I would just be showing CSS anyway. So
I'm looking forward to that post, mostly because it's using Skier Sharp and basically I work on Skier Sharp and I'm like, I know it can do amazing things, but I've never done amazing things with it. And this guy comes along, it's like, well, let me show you how to do this amazing thing. Wow. So.
Yeah, his library is very cool. Lots of stuff in there. And one thing that I never really was a big fan of, well, let's just pull it up. Let's just go down a little rabbit hole. Nick MAUI. Yeah, basically this. So I just want to pull up a little bit of code here. So the thing that keeps me away from doing a lot of these things is the naming and the namespacing and the prefixes, right? And so like that stuff just kind of turns me off. It just makes my XAML a bit more verbose, and then it introduces, like, I would prefer actually not to call it Skia scroll. Like if it's just a scroll, I just call it a scroll view or something, you know, like why do I need to put Skia in front of it? Like I know that's just my personal preference. Like no shade, you do you. But here's the dovetail. Here's the segue. So I've been doing some blogging for the past 4 weeks. I have blogged, and this blog right here has gotten some attention. Simpler XAML in .NET MAUI 10. So this is a new thing that we're doing. It's optional. You don't have to use it, but just think C# global using and take that to XAML. So now what we've done is we've taken the default namespace in .NET 10 projects, and it's no longer MAUI, it's now MAUI Global. And so what this allows us to do is, rather than packing everything into the same namespace that our controls are in, now it gets packed into a app-specific namespace for your particular application. And you can do that with your own controls. You can do that with any library that you bring in. And then if you go further and do the preview features, you can actually start to really minimize what you need in your XAML. So this is what you would typically see for just a bare bones content page. You're going to have the default namespace. You're going to, of course, have the X namespace, and then you're going to declare your class. Now we can get rid of both of those XML and S's. We still need to use the X prefix because, as I'm told, it's used in the XAML inflation process. So you can't get rid of that. But let's look at something more real. So this is from one of my projects, the telepathic app that I demoed at Build. And this is typical. I'm going to pull in a lot of third-party things because I don't like to write code. I want somebody else to write it for me and make it better. And so what I can do then is in my any CS file really, but we're using the convention of global xmlns.cs because that's what Stefan said we were going to do. It doesn't really matter. You can name it whatever you want to. And you can put it in the same file probably as your global usings for C#, right? And then you tell it what all to pack into that namespace. And if you want to give it prefixes, you can do that too, which I show somewhere. Maybe I don't show it. But nonetheless, when you get down into the files, now you can start omitting all those different namespaces. Like, I'm bringing in a main page model, which is coming from a models namespace. I don't need to specify that here. It's already specified in the global file. And then I can also do similar things with prefixes where instead of using controls prefix, I can just go straight to the task view. So check out this blog post. It also goes into how you can disambiguate the types and things like that. This is still in the .NET 10 previews. So if you have crazy ideas and or questions and or objections, now is the time for you to come raise those to us, because we've got several previews left, and then RCs, and then it's going into GA. In addition to that, because you can't get away from it, no matter how hard you try, I took our demos from Build, and I started talking about how I built them using AI, not just for development, but how I brought AI functionality into the applications for doing things like providing better details for my to-do and projects, how I use audio and then transcribed it, and then turn that into structured data. Similarly with video or vision as well. So 3 different blog posts on that. Come check it out. I got positive reactions, not a lot of comments. That's fine. I don't, I can still sleep at night, even though people don't tell me how wonderful I am. Gerald sends me words of affirmation once a week. It's glorious. Not publicly, of course. Not publicly. It's all private, but it does happen.
Tried, Dave. I tried. You gave me actually inspiration on this to do what I'm going to show you later. So
yeah. So
Blazor.
We'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Let's see. In other news, we have some case studies that have been published recently. One of them, Tyler Technologies, was published, I think, last month or the month before. And Beth, tell us about this one, because I think you helped get this story brought.
Yeah, I helped source it, but Gerald wrote it, which was great. Thank you, dude. So Tyler Technologies, real small team that was able to do some incredible things with Blazor Hybrid and Maui. So they have, I think, three developers total that build all of their mobile and web applications, and they basically provide an app that schools use to track field trips and basically bus schedules for students and things. So I think they have like a lot of clients in Canada and the United States, and so this is a pretty cool app. I think that this is kind of like one of our better stories about code reuse, right? That's one of the advantages of going with a hybrid approach, is because you already probably have web components, or they had a website already, and so that they wanted to bring that to mobile, and so that was the easiest route they took, and they did it with Blazor Hybrid. And they release kind of once, and it goes to all platforms, so the one set of code, so all the UI is shared across. So that's kind of like one of the biggest benefits. So yeah, it was really good. Thanks for writing that up, Gerald.
No problem.
Yeah, and this is Chris Miller, who we've known for a very long time. Chris has been I want to say he was actually a Xamarin MVP before he became a Microsoft MVP. And so I see Chris all the time. And if I recall, this code did start out as a Xamarin app and has then migrated and evolved into this now Blazor Hybrid app. So that's really cool. We see that happening frequently. Let's see, what else do we have here? I wanted to call attention to this. So you may know that I'm a fan of Ado's work with MAUI Reactor. And so that's a Fluent library for doing UI things in an MVU fashion. So the total opposite of XAML, which is all MVVM and data binding and XML. And so I messaged him the other day because he had sent me some information and mentioned CoreSync. And I'm like, ooh, CoreSync, that sounds really cool. What is that? And there was like no examples of this. Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's data synchronization. So you spin up a web app, you got your storage there, you've got your conflict resolution, all the things that I don't really ever want to have to deal with. And so, hey, it's from the same one that makes MAUI Reactor. So I thought that was really cool. And so he quickly sent me this with a video showing it working. And I'm in the process of updating my application right now to use CoreSync. It does use Entity Framework Core behind the scenes, which I just discovered, I guess in April, we shipped an experimental build that works with native AOT. Did you all know that? Of EF Core?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like I've kind of always shied away from it on mobile because it wasn't fully ready for AOT and all the things. And I'm like, okay, well, sweet. Now I can kind of go all in.
So we can now use EF Core without having to use interpreter equals true on iOS.
Right? That's what I understand. Yeah. Dope.
Okay.
Aren't you glad you tuned in today?
Use interpreter true the default. It's like, no, we don't need it. EF Core.
There was some data sync in it too, by the way, like too already.
Yeah, I think there might be. Speaking of data sync, this one came to my attention just this morning. So Power Sync is another new sync option out there. It's an alpha release. So if you're looking for other options for doing your data sync stuff, I believe they kind of pull this together with all existing .NET pieces. It's not like some unique new reinventing the wheel type situation. It's pulling some stuff together. So just another option to check out. I haven't had a chance to look at it myself yet, but congratulations to the team that worked on this and shipped it. They're looking for feedback, so make sure you give it to them. And let's see.
Data synchronization is the sort of like the #1 requirement for any sort of mobile app. It's like when the internet goes offline, even just for a single user on an account, it's like, well, you either disable the whole app or you figure out some sort of online, offline synchronizing some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I think some people, Alan, know when we're going to be having community stand-ups, Alan, and decides to save all the news that Alan has for right before the show so that we get up here and talk about it. So apparently Shiny has been on the path of destruction, which I don't know. That made it sound like source generators were a bad thing.
Yeah,
but
that was my thing too.
Yeah. So like maybe it's just the way that Northern Americans speak. But yeah, so let me go over here. Oh, what are you talking about? It doesn't have anything.
Yeah, this is a weird thing. If you're not logged in, you can't see a whole lot.
I was logged in. I was, man. All right. Well, let's see. Let's go to GitHub, Shiny, MAUI. I don't know. And that should get us there, right? And so, yep, there's the org. So he's been busy at work. Bunch of new releases. Of course, this library does a whole lot of things, but I think the new bits are around, it doesn't show me like in order of when you, a reflector. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So this is one of the new things. There's a bunch of new things that Alan has been working on, and I'm not going to represent it as well as he would or does. So go read his actual tweet thread about all the things. This one does something that's AOT compliant with regard to things that would normally require reflection all the way through, but now it doesn't? Question mark, exclamation point. So anyway, bunch of interesting things in this release. Please do go check it out. Alan always does amazing work. We recommend Alan to everybody, pretty much. Like, if I can't get Matthew to work on something, I'm like, hey, I wonder if I can get Alan to do it. That's the way it goes. Cool. And let's stop there. So I will once again put the link in the chat because there is just so much stuff happening right now in .NET MAUI space, but we've got a bunch of cool demos and things to check out. So I'm not going to leave the studio. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. So Beth, do you want to kick it off and show us what you've been doing with Blazor and mobile and AI?
Yeah.
It's like a PBJ.
Okay, cool. Let me share my screen. Make sure I can share my screen. Hold window.
I'm prepared to show it.
No, wait, I want the whole, I want the entire screen. Hold on.
I think so.
There we go. All right. Share the right one, not the link to the studio. Hold on. Okay.
Not the one with the chat where you're talking bad about me.
All right. Yeah.
All right,
so
we see it.
There we go. All right. Okay. Cool. I just wanted to call out before I go into this more complex app that, I threw together with AI, is that there are templates now. There's 2 templates that can get you really quickly started with a Blazor hybrid app with MAUI. One of them is just a single project, right? Just the client. and like you build all your UI and everything together. And then the other one we released for .NET 9 also includes a web app too, so a Blazor web app. And so if you choose, like, here, let's walk through real quick. You can choose the hosting mode, like the different type of rendering modes and interactive rendering modes for the Blazor side. So you could technically get a MAUI app, a Blazor hybrid MAUI app, as well as a Blazor app itself, and it shares the UI across both. Okay, so if you selected server, you get 3 projects, a shared Razor class library it creates for you and hooks it up between your MAUI app and your Blazor web app. If you choose WebAssembly or Auto, you get 4 projects. So you also get the WebAssembly client, and they all share the same UI. Okay, so just note, if you know the template is here to get you started, and take a look at it if you're interested. There's also in the links in the URL list, there's a lab that we did at Build that like walks you through creating a kind of more real world app, starting with this template from scratch. Okay, so if you're interested in just kind of learning, it only takes an hour to walk through that lab. And so I would encourage you to, if you're like looking to get started, to do that. So what I've been doing is, this is an app that, let me run it actually here. This is an app I had originally written in Light Switch in 2011. And
I don't even know what Light Switch is. You keep saying Light Switch. Like, I know what Fox Pro was.
Yeah, I mean, I might have had this in Fox Pro too, way back in 1999, but or even earlier. But what it is it's actually like a home asset management app, and it actually helped my husband take an inventory of all the assets in the house, and have regular maintenance on things like change your air filter and your furnace, and like pressure regulators, making sure the sprinklers are working, like all kinds of just stuff. Also, it was nice because it could like provide a dump to like Excel of all the assets in your house. If heaven forbid something bad happens, you could get to give your insurance company or whatever. So here's sort of the idea. You have, locations, categories, service companies. This is the Windows app, and this is the web app. You'll see that they kind of look almost exactly the same. You have assets in the house. You have pictures of the assets. You have maintenance logs, that sort of thing. So this is the web app, and this is the Windows app, and they look almost exactly the same because they're both mouse and keyboard desktop apps, right? You can think of them that way. There's a couple like different things, like so when you add a picture here, you could choose a file, or not. But on the web, let me give you the lowdown on the mobile app here. You'll see it looks different. So yeah.
Now, is that just loading off of the web server though?
It's loading all the data off the web server, but there's kind of different, so you can provide some different functionality here. Like you'll notice, like I can take a photo instead, like, take a photo of, I don't know, my outside here. But the web app doesn't do that, right? So only the mobile app does. So you can provide like different UI depending on, this is all Blazor, by the way. This is all like just, Razor, class library doing a, like basically what I did is I multi-targeted the Razor class library itself. And then I'm just saying, if Android and iOS, show the take photo button, otherwise don't. Okay. So you can do that. You can like kind of, because you have to kind of think about, different UI, how your different UI looks. So you'll notice that also I have here on like the asset screen, for instance, it's a card view, right? Where in the case of like in the, the desktop apps, they're grids, right? So in order to do that, you just multi-target your Razor class library. So that's like a nice trick here. So like, for instance, here's our shared, like this is the Razor class library. If you'll see that I just have, if Android or iOS, then go ahead and put the take photo button there. Otherwise don't, right? And then we're using the MAUI abstraction layer, right, to provide the functionality of taking the photo, right? So, the way we do that is I just have this little photo service that I've injected in here, and it's basically a no-op on the web. But on MAUI, this is our MAUI app here. you'll see that I have like the photo service actually does something, right? It uses the media picker, capture photo async. So you can basically use the MAUI abstraction layer and on the MAUI side, and that's providing all of that rich goodness that we know and love for our MAUI apps. And then on the web side, you have to have different implementations for things. For the picture upload, for instance, it's just like, using like a file, upload file for the web. So any rate, that's kind of just how I did the multi-targeting. I'll flip back over here. The one nice thing is, one kind of cool thing is I implemented just a little bit of AI. So if we take, hopefully this works, right? Because I also did speech to text like the other day, and we'll see if this works. So you'll see up at the top, I have like a little chat with assistant. Okay, so we're gonna chat with the assistant. So this is like, there's no XAML in here. There's one XAML file in this entire app, okay? So Morton, you can tune out now. See you later. No, there's no XAML. This is all CSS, HTML, and Razor. Okay, so what's a good maintenance plan for this asset? Speech recognition failed. All right. Well, we're gonna try this one. What's a good maintenance plan for this asset? It's not working. Of course, it's not working because. Here, hold on. Let me do this one. Because I actually have it in here too. So let's try this. What's a good maintenance plan for this asset? Okay. It normally would work. Sorry about that. But this is now actually chatting with a, what is it? Very cheap model in Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so there you go. So Foundry, I just connected to Foundry. I deployed a model, like a mini model, so it doesn't cost a lot of money. And what I did is I set up a very detailed prompt based on the asset, the particular data that's on the screen. And it suggested some maintenance plans for me, right? So, conduct a visual inspection of the water pressure regulator. Of course, that sounds like a great idea, right? Now I don't know if it's true or false, but my husband's been playing with this and he's validating that the assistant is actually being pretty helpful, right? So, and then you can say like, give me some suggestions. You tell AI to give me more suggestions on what I should prompt you next about, right? And so like, I don't know, like, how do I conduct a visual inspection? Like whatever. So like you can talk, like, it's not just about maintenance plans. You can talk with this thing all about, what you need to do to get things working. So he's pretty excited about this. And it was super, super easy to get this to work. Like Entity Framework was harder for me than this. Okay, so let me show you, like, super simple. So in the MAUI program CS, just in the startup here, all I have is like, I got a couple NuGet packages. Mostly is the Microsoft extensions for AI. That's really like, guys, this is like, you just like the entry point to all your AI things, okay, that you want. And yes, it works on mobile and desktop. Like it actually would work better probably than the text right now. It's just speech right now, or speech to text. So here I got right here, I just create a new Azure OpenAI client. I send it the endpoint and the API key, and I just create a chat client and I add it to our app, just like that. Okay. And then in over here in the chat UI, here's the chat input. Okay. Is that the chat input? That's the chat. Wait, it's the chat. Hold on, the chat page. I wanted to show you the prompt. Asset chat. Here we go. So those are all the components that kind of are on the page. But here's how when we load the page, I'm just passing the data as parameters, right? And all I'm doing is saying like, here's the prompt, right? Like setting it up for like, here is the data I'm going to be chatting about, right? So that it has the context Like, it's not, I'm not doing like semantic search or anything crazy here. I'm not like ingesting data on the back end, you know, so I don't have any agents that can go put the data in. Like, I'm working on that next. But this is literally just to get the right response, okay, about the data context. And so that's basically what I did. And that's why when I talked about a maintenance plan, it knows exactly how to, I'm going to suggest 3 things for you. So the next step in this app is like, you know, because like, you know, like clients give you feature creeps, so do your husbands. So, or, you know, your wives, or your partners or whoever, like they always want more. You give them something, want more. So my husband wants it so that he can just click like, yep, frequency. If it says recommended frequency, he wants to click a button and it automatically creates the maintenance plan. So he has, you know, his to-do list. So that's what I did. So yeah, so then basically, yeah, this is where we're chatting right here. We're sending the prompt in, and this is basically like, you know, adds a user message. So this is like iterating and just chatting with it. So yeah, there's a template that you can get started too. Like if you, the Microsoft extensions for AI, if you install that, there's a template. There's a, you know, .NET, you know, tool for it. And it gets you started with a chat. And it's actually in Blazor. So I just literally copied all of the chat pieces from that and just put it right in here. So it was really easy to get started. So yeah, I think that was kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you have this deployed to your husband's phone?
Yeah, we're both Android folks, so we're just like side
Makes it super easy.
Yeah, and we're like putting it on a Docker in his office. So yeah, I literally the only spend I have right now is to AI Foundry, Azure AI Foundry. And it's not costing a lot. Like I've been chatting back and forth with this thing, and yeah, it's pennies for this particular one right now. So yeah, so don't feel like you're going to be spending a lot of money on it. You don't have to. And like, I think Scott Hanselman had a really good point. Like he was doing a demo, pick the model that's the least, it's just not least expensive for you, but it uses the least amount of compute possible for your needs, right? You know, just be a good, you know, I don't know.
Else you won't have a garden
climate friendly,
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like don't like go crazy if you don't need it. You know what I mean? Like save the resources.
I'm not sure if you were going to go anywhere or David was going to do this, but I'm just going to steal his thunder for a little bit. There's one question in the chat. Wait, does this mean that I can use NPM packages?
Well, not. So
I was going to have you talk a little bit about the hybrid web view. I was going to.
Hybrid web view. Yeah, we can get into that one next. This is just Blazor though, so this is just all .NET. You don't have
right. So this is all .NET, right? So this is just you're going to use your NuGet packages if you don't know anything about Blazor, right? This is like our solution to stay in the C# and .NET ecosystem, and you don't need to use NPM, JavaScript, that kind of stuff. If you want to go the route of like NPM packages, use actual JavaScript, reuse your current investment in what's the things, words, React and Vue and that kind of thing. We have the hybrid web view, so Blazor web view for Blazor things, hybrid web view where you can load like your existing Vue or React web application as well, use all your NPM things, and we got a couple of extra things on top of that web view that will make it easier to kind of like, you know, send JavaScript messages back and forth and connect that to your C# code and etc. So something for everyone, basically. Yeah,
so I'm firing up, Matt, I've got preview 6, a preview of preview 6 of .NET 10 on this dev box. And I'm going to fire up here. And this is just a simple demo app of like all the great work Matt's been doing. So this is the Blazor web view here. This is the hybrid web view that Gerald was just talking about, right? So this is just, you know, a simple Bootstrap app. It could be React or Vue or whatever JavaScript, you know, thing. You would be using NPM and building your app, you know, as any other web app that you would ever want to build. And then you can send messages between C# and JavaScript. And so this facilitates that interop, right? And so that's what Gerald was saying, right? In this simple example, like I also have a Blazor web view here. So someone was asking, I think in the chat, can you inspect the Blazor? Yeah, if you inspect the Blazor or the hybrid web view, hit F12, and then you'll just go into your, you know, web developer tools like you know and love, right? You got your console, you have like either, you know, you can inspect like you know, the CSS, HTML, that kind of thing, right? So that's kind of how you can like inspect that. I think I saw a comment on that. But Matt, I wanted to like kind of fire this up with a breakpoint, because this is sort of like your baby, and here we go. I'm gonna go over here. So you'll notice that in .NET 10 Preview 6, yay, we actually have a way to intercept the web requests, so you can do whatever you need to do. Well, there's a big pile of requests in GitHub around intercepting, like controlling what the web view is doing, right? And so we came up with, you know, let's just provide this hook that you can do anything, right? And so, Matt, you want to kind of walk us through a little bit of this?
No, I suppose I can give yeah. So as you mentioned, a lot of requests was like, I've got a website and I would like to load something that's not a real web application, web endpoint. Like it's not a picture or a JavaScript file. It's just some sort of data from my database. You can't access some local storage from JavaScript. And you go to the web browser and you wanted to basically say, hey, the web page is asking for some arbitrary API or data or something, and there was no way for you to intercept that and provide custom data. So we just added this simple event that when any request happens, you know, the index.html, a JavaScript, you know, a custom fetch command that is /custom API /doesn't exist, it will trigger this event, and then you can choose what you want to do with it. Do you want to just ignore it and let it go on? Or you can, you know, if you check this particular example, the line here is saying, oh, there's some request that's happening. We're going to first check to see if the URL that's being requested is this particular image. If it's not, we bail out. But if it is, we load the image from an arbitrary source, in this case, embedded in the app. And this would be an example where you maybe have, I know one of the requests was like a sort of a local map of a mall, for example. It's going to have like 40 tiles at different zoom levels. And instead of having it hit the server, you want it offline capable, you would have a little zip file that you can use a normal mapping control that does requests for various tiles and URLs and all that. And you don't need to host that somewhere. You just embed it in the app and intercept the requests. And as it requests, just like with a single image, it's going ahead, fetching the image from the local app and sending it back to the web view. So the web view code doesn't have to be anything other than normal fetch. You can integrate with existing controls that only do HTTP requests, or they only do normal requests, and you can just respond with whatever data you want. In this case, the image is embedded in the app as a Android resource or a Windows resource, and there's no way for the web view to get that in a normal conventional mechanism. So you get an event that fires and you do it.
It also works great for like if you want to pull up stuff from it dynamically from a database or something like that. So you want to like take over the entire request response pipeline for the web view itself. So it's just a simple example, but I think it's going to lead to a lot of powerful, you know, usage. Okay, that's what we're hoping, at least. So we want your feedback. So like preview 6 comes out next week to publicly on Tuesday, I think. So please play with it and let us know. The other thing, Matt, I think we added was the fact that, so the hybrid web view. Okay, so in hybrid, let me go actually show that page. So it's just the hybrid web view control, right? We had before. I've got this pointed over at www hybrid. Okay, so that's basically in our www hybrid, this little index HTML right here. You added the fact that we don't have to include now this whole entire hybrid webview.js file manually anymore. So it's just, you can refer to it exactly how you would refer to the Blazor web view with _framework. So I'm very excited about that one, Matt. So that's a great feature. Did not have to manage and maintain that yourself. So, so in that case, like you look at this guy right here, I'm just using window.hybridWebView, and I'm sending a message back to C# in this case. So all of this stuff is embedded for you now, which is awesome. So thanks for getting that one in. Gee, God. Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Lots of goodness for Blazor. Gerald, did you pin any comments to questions?
Can I do that? Wow, that's cool. Not really.
Right.
There's a lot of discussion, which is really cool in the chat going on. Sune Fredriksen, which I think is somewhere in the Nordics, Sweden, Norway, whatever, is very interested in how Blazor everything works. I'm hoping I'm doing a good job translating all of that, because what it kind of like does is like, you know, is this interpreted, transpiled, whatever? It's like, no. Blazor's .NET. We have .NET runtime running through all the goodness that was Xamarin, now .NET MAUI. So we can just run the Blazor app as a .NET application directly on the device, right? You don't need to interpret anything. You don't need to go through WebAssembly. You don't need a server or anything. You can just do it that way. So, and then the next question was like, what web engine does it use? Well, that's the power of MAUI, right? It renders to whatever is used on that platform, whatever is supposed to be used on that platform. So on Windows, it's going to be WebView 2. On iOS and macOS, it's going to be Safari. And on Android, it's going to be Chromium. Or I think you even have the option to install your own web engine on Android, right? So that's always fun. So you can use all of that. There was another cool project here. Who was it? Oh, maybe I should put things on screen too, so people know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Skates is asking, like, are there any tools or apps to, this is a little bit broader, to generate XAML color palettes that don't break the default MAUI template resource keys that come out of the box? How I kind of like interpreted this is like, hey, we have like a set of default styles in the new MAUI template, right? And I think what they mean is like, hey, I want to have my own color palette, but I wanted to use the keys and the names that are in the default MAUI project, right? So I can just copy and paste that in, and then I will have my colors, but everything will still work, right? Might be a nice application. Vibe coded with Copilot. Actually, while I'm talking about, you can just ask Copilot. You can feed it the styles and say, I wanted to use these colors, and it will, I bet it will come out with a useful style that you can just paste in there. Someone gonna say something?
Yeah, I built this.
What? What? Like you kept it for yourself?
I honestly don't remember though if it uses the same keys that are in the template, but it actually generates for you the resource dictionary and or C# markup and or MAUI reactor styles, application styles. So you can just copy that code into your app. It's just, it's something I built for myself. And so nobody else has used it. So you would be the first. But what's that?
These are my styles over here.
Start the repository.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are doing, but whatever. I've got Scope CSS.
Does anyone use CSS in the MAUI styles? Like style your buttons with CSS? Like, is that... Are we allowed to talk about that?
Cool and powerful way to do it.
There you
go. We don't have very many minutes left. Gerald, you had a few things to share. You could maybe just pick one.
I could
pick as many as you want.
I was going to say, I'll just fill up the time. Perfect. How do I share my screen here? Present,
you're the icing on the cake. Beth was the cake.
I was the cake.
That's the filling.
Matt is the frosting.
Okay. Stop talking now. Stop talking now. Okay. Cool. Let's switch over to this one. And I need to remove you. Add me. There we go. Okay. This first and foremost, liquid glass. Did we hear about that one? A little bit of liquid.
What is liquid glass, Gerald?
Liquid glass. What is it? Well, I'm glad you asked, David. In each, what is it? June. Apple comes out with this little conference, WWDC, and it has this high Apple executive that's always running around with the hair. And they present like their new version of iOS, right? That's what they do, which is super cool. We all have a little insight. We all have a shared meeting at Microsoft, the people at least in the Xamarin and MAUI space, and we all sit there and watch and comment like you do on these things, right? You don't do that, we do that. So they present the new version, which then automatically immediately comes out as a beta as well. And then some people install it, some people don't because they got burned in the past. But now, revolutionary new thing, they're going to call everything 26, right? iOS 26, macOS 26, Xcode 26, because that fits the year, right? So it's going to be 2026, although we're still in 25, doesn't matter. And then the actual version comes out in September, I want to say. I think it's September. But now what they did is like, hey, complete redesign. We're going to make everything liquid glass, right? So it has this glassy look. Lots of people already were like, oh yeah, we got that in Windows Vista, right? Like we got that 20 years ago, Windows Vista, I don't know, 10 years ago. And now they're reinventing it and bringing it as like that latest, greatest new thing. That's what Apple does, right? We love it. So that's what they did, and you've probably already seen screenshots of this and animations, because the animations are crazy cool, because it's not just the glass look, but they got the animations down. So if you scroll over it, you will see like the light fractions and whatever, and whenever you scroll like little notification bars, you can really see the liquid like connecting, right? Like if you have two water drops. I can go on and on about this.
Okay. You're in love, I can tell.
Yeah, I'm a fan. So they've done that, and then obviously the question is like, hey, does MAUI does this? When is MAUI going to do this, right? And as it goes, like something like this comes out, and our amazing .NET for iOS team, previously Xamarin.ios, they go out, download all the betas, and they start hacking away and making it all so that we can all use it and enjoy it in September, right? So, and the way MAUI works, I was just talking about that. Like we render everything to what it's supposed to be like on that platform, right? So this was just a tab bar like at the bottom before, very boring, right? Like tab, tab, tab. We know tabs. But now, revolutionary, this is the best new thing since sliced bread. Apple created like glass tabs, right? So whenever we just update, whenever we can build our apps now against iOS 26, against Xcode 26, you can see it here at the bottom. We get the glass tabs, right? This is the new tab bar. It's maybe a little bit small there. Let me see if I can. Oh, I'm zooming in StreamYard now. Let me see if I can.
No, it's zooming. You're good. Keep zooming.
Is it zooming? Oh, but it's only zooming StreamYard. Well, there we go. So you can see it here down at the bottom. Whenever the little thingy goes down, like this is a running MAUI app, right? Build against Xcode 26, and whenever you do that, automatically your boring tabs will turn into liquid glass. Super, super amazing, right? So this is work in progress, right? We should have this ready by or near September, whenever Apple comes out with this stuff, at least very well before. Like it's a requirement that you actually build your apps like against the Xcode 26, right? Like that's even some time after it. And people are loving it, right? Like it's not even 24 hours, 200 responses, 37 comments. People are going nuts with like, oh, this is amazing. I want to have this. So.
And this is really, I mean, at its core, it's just being able to recompile against Xcode 26.
Exactly. It's that.
So then the question, of course, that people are all asking themselves is, why is it going to take you until September to ship all this? Well, that's because we need to now go through all the SDKs, all the frameworks, and make sure that we've bound the APIs that you need to actually use the new functionality. If the APIs didn't change, then they just work. But new APIs, new frameworks, et cetera, need to all be surfaced to .NET developers. So that's what the work is. And then, they will tend to continue breaking things through the betas, and we need to react to that. And sometimes those are on the SDK pieces, and some of them are on the tooling pieces, the build tools. Maybe they change how they do simulator launching, and then so we have to react to that. So That's the work. That's really cool. Good job.
Thank you. Well, the hard work has been done by the .NET for iOS team. So, we're just compiling against what they're giving us. So, yay. Little cliffhanger for next month, maybe. Who knows? You mentioned the Xaml thing, right? Yes. We're experimenting with Xaml source generation. So we don't have time for this now right now. But got this little attribute right here, Xaml processing, Xaml source gen. So we've been talking a lot about Xaml. Lots of things, issues with Xaml 2. Like it's a very runtime thing, right? Like it's very hard to get it right. Now we're going full source gen, what we started the show with as well, with the shiny bits. We're generating all kinds of source from your Xaml, which will make it much easier to do AOT, to have the exact same build for debug and release. do all these kinds of cool things, right? Make it a
Yep.
little bit faster.
It saves you about a second
run.
on your
you go.
warm builds for sure.
There you go.
Easier to, and Roslyn already does this, so we're up to speed now, and no more IL when you're using this experimental mode. Probably should blog about that.
Yep,
So
we should blog about that.
You're
We're
going to
going
be
to talk
gone,
about that
so I'll
next,
just
no,
blog
next month. Yeah, you blog about it, and then next month we'll come back to deep dive in this. One last little plug. Community is doing a little thing, which we're calling the MAUIverse, and I had this cool AI generated logo because I'm not much of a designer, but here we are. Whenever I go to the events, people ask me like, hey, what is the go-to place to ask questions about Maui, to showcase my blogs, to get more than 2 responses on my blog, to share videos, share your projects, do whatever, get in touch with people. A couple of people on the Maui Day in London, which happened in February, David was there, we came together and we were like, this is amazing, and we want to create that space. I know there's already a couple of Discords where Maui is just one channel, right? It's just a little fraction. We want to get the MAUIverse going, and we're starting with a little Discord server. So if you go to MAUIverse.net/Discord, right? So that's it. I'll just paste it in the chat here too. Share the URL. Yes, George, I'm coming. Oh my goodness. Then you'll automatically be redirected to the Discord server. You're on there, and boom. It's a little bit quiet right now, like 53 members. It's all right, 12 online. I need that to increase. I need you all to start engaging, and this will be the one place to go for the community. Hopefully some of my team members, I didn't inform them that I was going to do this, so hopefully we'll
no idea
as well. And we'll make this the place to go to and hang out and talk all things Maui, right? So little plug right here. I think that's a good way to end the show. David, take it away. Bring us home. Do it.
Well, thank you, Beth, Matt, Gerald, for joining. A lot less talking I had to do, which is great. Everybody's so appreciative. Less dad jokes that way. Enjoy your vacations. Those of you who are taking vacations, enjoy your long weekends. For those of us taking the long weekends, build cool stuff. Share your comments and love and everything for Maui UI July throughout the month, and look forward to celebrating what you have built when we return in August. All right, that's it. We'll see you, everybody. Here comes the outro music. Bye.